Alright, so I'm back by unpopular demand. I guess I say that semi-jokingly. My son had a reveal party. His girlfriend's pregnant. Had a reveal party a couple months ago. I saw my sister, I call her my sister-in-law, former ex, whatever you want to call it, Sherry. She said she enjoyed watching the videos, especially the ones where I run my mouth, which I hadn't been doing a lot lately. Hope this thing's on. I don't know why. I've been sober for a little over 6 months. And I gotta be honest, not all that impressed with it. I think I had this expectation of, I'd get sober and it'd be unicorns and rainbows and the world would be a better place. I don't know. Didn't necessarily pan out like that as far as I'm concerned. My liver's recovering, so that's a plus. But my memory's gone to shit. I can't sleep. Not working. Of course, a lot of that could be due to the injury in the fall. But it's a big coincidence to me. I quit drinking. It seems like everything went to shit. But I don't know where this video is going. Just me rambling, ranting. I may not even post it. But I've had some experiences going on the past couple of weeks. And I've been wanting to make a video about this, that, or the other. Just, as I said, it's like my thoughts, I can't put two and two together anymore. My creativity is gone. Anyway, yesterday something happened. It's kind of prompted me on this video rant. But Angela and I we started trying to get a legitimate business entity in 2005. Went to the DPOR, the Department of Professional Occupation Regulation, to get a contractor's license in 2005. All kinds of red tape. Fill out this, pay for that. Just one thing after the other. And I suck at written testing. I sucked in elementary school, I sucked in junior high school, and I sucked in high school. I don't test well. And of course, one of the first requirements of the DPOR is to take a test, or should I say a multitude of tests, all of which cost money. So I relied on my lovely wife, Angela, to take these tests for me, as she's a part of the business. So she took 3 written examinations for Class A contracting, all of which she passed, all of which we paid for. So we pass everything, go to get our license, and then one of the requirements is you have to have a liquidable value asset of like $70,000. Well, we didn't have it. I mean, we didn't even own a house then. We just got married. Struggling like everybody. So the next best option was to get a Class C license, which we got. But the requirements of a Class C state you cannot contract anything over $1,000. And you can't make more than, at the time, 2005, you couldn't make more than $100,000 a year. Well, I didn't give a shit. I just need to be legal somehow. I need a contractor's license. So we got the Class C. We invested with the lawyers for the LLC, the Bon Air Craftsman, which was my business name and entity. Got our contractor number, and I went on about my merry way contracting jobs, none of which, to be honest, were under $1,000. But I wasn't bidding turnkey projects like additions or homes or whatever. It was just renovations, repairs, brick mold, hang a door, hang a window, whatever. So even though we were technically breaking the Class C regulation, we went on successfully like that for years. I think is when I cut my hand. Something happened. I was incapacitated. Probably this injury. You know, I guess we were all busy with hospitals and surgeries and whatever, and we forgot to. I think we forgot to file. No. We filed an extension for our taxes. Hell, I can't even get the story right. Or maybe we didn't file. I don't think we didn't file. We forgot to file. And when we got around to filing, we didn't owe any money because we didn't make any money. In fact, we were due a refund. But in the government's infinite wisdom, it doesn't matter to them whether you're due a refund or you owe taxes. You got to file, or there's penalties and interest. We didn't owe any taxes. We were due a refund, but the penalties and interest for not filing were greater than the refund. They were greater than we could afford. So we never got our refund. We still had the outstanding penalties and interest that we couldn't afford to pay. So the only legal thing we could do to avoid the debt was to kill the LLC, the Bon Air Craftsman. So I didn't want to do. I had a great client base, great reputation, lots of work, but couldn't afford the penalty. So we killed it. Angela formed another LLC while I was in the hospital, which I didn't want to use. I didn't like the name. Clients didn't know who I was. We had that like a year and a half. Never even used the account. Never used the federal ID number. It was kind of just a wasted investment creating the LLC and so we killed that one. Great. Then, for those of you who recall, a couple of years ago, I was working on that great big $1 million house that turned into a clusterfuck. When everything kind of went to shit and the superintendent finally left, I was sort of handed the reins to finish the job. But one of the requirements was to get paid, I had to have a business entity. So I created the Cripple Craftsman. This is after I fell and broke my feet. So the Cripple Craftsman was my new business, my new LLC. I got new workers' comp insurance, got a new county license, and I got paid. Great. I get a notice in the mail from Chesterfield County last week or so. They claim I've been operating a business without a business license. Oh, yeah, bullshit, that's not true. Everything's a pain in the ass. So I go back, dig through all my files, checks and bank records. Sure as shit, I found the payment, the date, the check number, what I paid, when I sent it off, and when the check cleared. As I said, none of this is easy. You got to call a number to figure out what's going on. It's always automated. You got to leave a couple messages, wait for, it's just fucking bullshit. I don't think I ever got a response. But someone got my voicemail and they sent me another letter stating that the reason my county business license, even though they took the money, was not in effect, was because I didn't have a DPOR contractor's license. I was like, God, fuck. Which kind of pissed me off because I got that county license in the early winter of 2003, and it's been 3 years, and then all of a sudden, they say, okay, you got to go get another license, something else I got to spend money on. And I've done this several times. I started trying to mentally prepare myself to go back to this worthless government entity, the DPOR, to try and get a new contractor's license. Now, back in let me see if I got my shit here straight. back in March of 2023, when I created the Cripple Crest, I went to the DPOR again, and I had the money at the time to meet the requirements of liquidable assets. I had 1, 2, 3 approved past exams, 3 exams for Class A business license and the certificate that they required to get a Class A. Still valid. So I present these. I present my my financial statement, certified and stamped that I had, whatever, $70,000 worth of liquidable assets. Paid $250. Received paperwork. After I paid for it, they say, okay, well, you're ready to take your certification exam. And what are you fucking talking about? We've already taken 3 exams and passed. She said, oh, you also have to take the pre-exam exam. And I was like, what the fuck is that? She said, well, that's the exam you have to take before you take these 3 tests to prove you're competent to take these 3 tests. And I'm like, we already took the test, paid for the test, and passed. Why do I need to take a pre-exam to prove that we're competent? Well, those are the rules. Fuck. All right. So my lovely wife goes back and takes the pre-exam. Pays for that. So now we've taken 4 exams. We go back with these 3 and the 4th, and that's when they tell us we got to take certification. I'm like, what the fuck is a certification exam? Well, sometime between 2005 and 2023, they decided that you couldn't be a Class A contractor without a certification, because all it really is a money grab. And in 2005 and before 2003, I think it was, it didn't matter what you did. If you were a drywall man, a siding guy, a plumber, or a lawn maintenance guy, if you made over a certain amount of money, I think at the time it was $150,000. If you made $150,000, you had to be a Class A contractor. Class A doesn't tell the customer necessarily that you are competent at what you're doing. It just tells the customer that you make so much money that you got to get a Class A so you can pay the government. So everybody and their brother, from leaf raker to chewing gum tester, could have been a Class A contractor, but weren't certified in any specialty. So they came up with all these specialties, as I said. Plumbing, HVAC, electrical, siding, whatever, carpentry. You gotta take a test for everything they could possibly think of. Like I said, from chewing gum to cutting hair to mowing grass. I kind of just had a fit. Like, I paid enough money. I've taken my wife, my business partner, has taken 4 exams. We passed. I'm just done with it. But I need a contractor's ID. So we decide the best thing to do, it was like we did before, is go in, pay the $250 for a Class C, just so we get a number. I think that's a smart thing to do. So I walk into the DPOR. I got to park at bumfuck Egypt parking deck about a half. Let me see if I can show you all this. Turn around. Shit. I don't know how to zoom. Damn it. You can't see it. But there's a hawk. How do you zoom this thing? A hawk that just flew down right beyond that fence, right on top of that. There it goes. It just flew down and caught a squirrel. That was kind of cool. All right, let me go back. Default. All right. This rant may be longer than I wanted. So I prepare myself all morning. Because I know it's going to be a clusterfuck and I'm probably not going to get any results. And to be prepared, I have my DPOR exams and applications. I have my State Corporation Commission papers, minutes, and filings with the FCC. I have my IRS forms with my employer identification number. I have my Chesterfield County business license from the past 3 years. I have my workman's comp insurance information. Totally fucking worthless insurance policy. I have my liability insurance information. And I have my LLC corporate filings. So I think I got everything I need. Walk up after the half-mile hike from the parking deck, go through the front door, and the first thing I see, stupid me, is a metal detector. I'm like, I'm never going to pass this. So the lady says, put all your phone and shit in the cup. So I start pulling shit off, and I'm like, I got this fucking knife and my little pliers that I carry around with me. Stick it in there, it goes through the x-ray. Of course, I walk through and I start dinging because I got so much steel rods and plates in my body. And she was nice. I told her, I said, I got a lot of steel, and she said, I figured this much. I saw you limping. And I raised my hand. Anyway, she said, okay, you're good. She said, oh, is that a knife? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, you got to take that back to your car or throw it away. And I was like, I said, I parked a long ways out there. I said, can I just stick it out here in the garden somewhere? She didn't say anything, but she kind of tilted her head and raised her eyebrows. So I went out, a little walkway there, garden on the left, or flower garden, flower bed, some flagstones. So I just picked up a rock, stuck my knife under it, went back in, went through the metal detector. Some guy sitting over there, he's like, you need to go back out there and get that knife and either put it in your car or throw it away. I said, man, I got a busted pelvis, busted hip. I parked way the hell out there. I said, I ain't hurting anybody. He had an attitude for some reason. He said, go out there, put it in your car, and throw it away. And me being the dumbass that I am, you know, I wasn't walking back out to that damn car. And I guess out of spite, I went out there, got the knife, looked at the guy, and threw it in the trash can. $60 Gerber. Came back in. She said, you're clear, but you need to sign such and such with that guy over there who had the attitude. I sign in, date. He gives me some little sticker. I put it on my chest. And I'm covered in drywall dust so it falls off. I pick it up, put it on again. He says, you need to keep that secure on you whenever you're in the premises. All right, dude. Stuck it on again. And somewhere between there and where I was going, it fell off. I don't know where it was. I go back to Suite 400. Wait in line because there's 4 other unhappy customers in line trying to get their licenses resolved. I guess after 20 minutes or so, I finally get up there. And I said, good afternoon, trying to be nice and polite. I said, we've switched gears. I'm just trying to get a Class C contractor's license. I just want to walk out of here with something. I said, here's my application. Here's all of the exams we passed and the pre-test exam. She's like, well, if you're just getting a Class C, you don't need any of those exams. Whatever, I got them, paid for them, took them. I just thought it would make me look more prepared. But you don't need that. All right, wait. Where's your application? So I hand her the application. Whatever the hell it is. That we filled out. Which is the same application for Class A, B, and C. Well, up here, you get to mark what type of class license you're getting. Well, this was the one we filled out when we tried to get the Class A. So I took my pen, I scratched out Class A, marked Class C. All the same information. Stupid me. Can't do that. She, oh no, we can't accept that. Why not? She said, well, you got to have a application filled out specifically for a Class C. You've got all this other information you don't need. I'm like, well, ignore it. If I don't need it, it's just proves that I'm overqualified. No, let me go get someone to help you and explain it. She went and got somebody else. He comes out there. I'm starting to catch an idea. I was like, man, I got $5,000 invested in LLCs and corporate and FCC and county license DPOR test certifications, and I can't walk out of here with anything. He said, no, you need to go back, fill this out, have both partners sign it, come back in. Massive waste of time and resources. Go back out, pissed off, try to go out through the foyer. Oh, no, wait, you got to sign out. So I go to sign out. The guy says, where's your sticker? Well, I don't know where it went. You're supposed to keep that sticker with you at all times. Well, I'm sorry, I lost it. So he shakes his head and said, sign your time out right there by your name. Well, I'm looking at it. I'm like, where? He's like, right beside your name, where it says time out. I was like, there ain't no spot beside my name. You know, dude, right. Well, somebody else had put their time out in my slot. Well, you have a good afternoon. Thanks for your help, asshole. Again, this is a rant. I don't even really, I kind of had a direction, but, you know, so I leave empty-handed again. Now, we started this in 2005. 2026, I still don't have a fucking contractor's license. And now they're claiming I don't have a county business license. So we're going to fill it all out again. Go back, this time without a knife. What are you doing, Trixie? Try not to have an attitude, pay another $250, and then wait to see if they'll give me a license. Because just because you pay don't mean you get it. As we found out in 23, that was just $250 down the toilet. But I was thinking about this because my son's been calling for advice on things, and I'm trying to advise him as a father, trying to tell him, to get legit. I said sooner or later something's going to happen. I mean, it's bound. There's always one customer that just wants to screw you. And if you're a sole proprietor, you don't have an LLC or business set up, then all of your personal assets are at risk. So I'm trying to get him legit, trying to get him to do what I'm doing. And I'm like, how in the fuck can I give him advice when I can't even get it done? But I'm still pushing him in that direction. He's taken off on his own, kind of like I did at his age. Getting lots of clients, doing good work, quality work, making a name for himself. But it just takes that one asshole. Unfortunately, I've had 2 or 3 of them. Let's say 2, really, that can wipe you out. And even the legalities of it all. If you're not on your P's and Q's, you can still get screwed. As I almost did, 2002, whenever that giant lawsuit happened. But it's just so aggravating and frustrating. I'm just trying to make a living. My son's just trying to make a living. got to get a business license. Okay. I guess I can see that. Fork over some money for that to do business. You got to get a contractor's ID. Okay. Maybe I can see that. But what I don't understand or agree with is the government dictating how much money you're allowed to make. With their classes of licenses, because their licensing only dictates money. You know, I don't understand why I can't get a Class C and accept a door replacement contract, front door, for $1,500, $2,000. I mean, think about the cost of the door, the siding, the labor, freight, whatever. You can't do anything for $1,000. I mean, so they're really limiting my ability to make money, my pursuit of happiness, my income. And my ability to make money has no bearing on my knowledge or quality of work. Just like a Class A has no bearing on knowledge or quality. It just allows you legally to bid on jobs of $500,000, or you can bid on a $150,000 job, but you can't make over $1 million. I don't know what the fucking rule is. It's basically designed, in my opinion, to make you become an employee or to contract with the state or the government. And I just went through, I guess the thing that really irks me is, again, those who have followed or know that project I was working on a couple of years ago. It's supposed to be a $2.5 million house. By the time it was all said and done, the time we got rid of the superintendent, found all the fuck ups, it was a 13,000 square foot house that cost $11 million. And it went to court. And we went to court last, I think it was March. I was a witness. I never got called. There were 7 or 8 people there as witnesses, and I think 5 or 6 went before me. And when it was my time to say my testimony, they said the whole case had been thrown out. And what are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, they threw the case out because the homeowner, the prosecution, so to speak, couldn't prove that the superintendent of the job was responsible for the work. Couldn't prove that he was a contractor, that he had a contract to do the work. And I got to thinking about, let's just use my pile of shit as an example. This is my pile of shit to be able, supposedly, to do work as a contractor in the state of Virginia. And on that particular job, I was the framer. I morphed into trim carpenter, and then I eventually became superintendent over the job until a suitable licensed contractor could be hired. I guess my point is, I was one sub. You think of all the subs that had to go through all of this shit to be able to work for so-called, I want to call it government policing, protection of the customers. But, you know, they present all of this shit like, you got to know this, you got to know how to do this, you got to know how to frame, you got to know how to run wires, you got to know how to do this, you got. None of those fucking exams that we took have anything to do with contracting. It's all exams and questions and tests to make sure you know how to best get fucked by the government, how to best pay their fees, pay the taxes, pay the payroll, pay the comp, pay the liability, pay your employee, you know, pay your subs. All of this red tape governmental bullshit that we've taken 4 fucking exams for to get the ability to drive a nail is for the protection of the government or the entities that claim they're doing something for the customer. Because what happened to the customer who ended up paying $11 million for a $2.5 million house? They got fucked. DPOR didn't do anything. The building inspectors didn't do anything. They never even came on a job. The fraudulent engineers report, nothing ever happened to them. You know, they didn't get reprimanded or have any penalties filed against them for writing fake letters and fake reports. You know, the subcontractors who put all of the siding on incorrectly, I don't want to sound racist, but the 80% of them, I'm not racist, but the illegal aliens that put the siding on wrong and incorrectly, well, nothing happened to them because they're illegal. I mean, what are you going to do? Can't even find them. Same thing with the window installation. All of this shit multiplied by, let's just say, 50 individual subs. Footings, concrete, landscape, masons, you know, wells, windows, block, wire, low voltage. Everybody's got to have all this shit, and not any of it did any good for anybody, the customer or the subs. It's a big money grab It's a circle jerk. And hiring a Class A contractor, licensed and insured, guarantees you nothing. The only thing it guarantees you is that individual is licensed to make more money than a Class B. And a Class B guarantees you that that individual is licensed to make more money than a Class C. None of that shit guarantees you of a competent contractor. And going to court doesn't guarantee you any relief, because even after you fill out all this shit, you take the 4 exams we took, and you take the other exam that they want us to take, and you pay the $250, and you show your financial statements that you are, the financial statement to show you have liquidable assets is only proof that you have enough money to be sued. What else would it be for? They want to make sure that they can come after your ass and fine you if you do something wrong or you don't abide by their regulations, or you contract $15 over the $1,000 limit. So if I sound pissed off and bitter, because I am. 57 years old, 58 in a few months. Been doing this shit my entire fucking life. Can't say I've been making money at it, but I made a living. And I don't see why the government's got to be involved in my contractual obligations or negotiations with a private customer. I'm a private individual. I got a private customer. Buyer beware. I write a contract. I say what I'm going to do. I got a scope of work. I got my insurance. I do what I'm supposed to. Customer's happy. They pay me. End of story. Who else needs to be involved? Nobody. I mean, did that superintendent with his Class A license who drove that job from $2 million to $11 million, did he lose his license? No. Is he still contracting? Yep. He's out there now building houses. Was he competent? Nope. Did his Class A license help him, teach him anything to be competent? No. Just a bunch of shit. How long has this been going on? Too long. I had more I wanted to bitch about, but I'll stop there. I guess I'm going to bite the bullet again and fill out another application and pay another $250, non-refundable, to get a Class C so I can continue contracting illegally. I'll have the license, I'll have the insurance, but if my limit is $1,000, I'm fucked. That's the other thing. They haven't changed that limit, to my knowledge, since the 80s. I mean, the economy was something else in the 80s. You can't buy 4 sheets of plywood for under $100. You know, you start adding material and labor on something small, you hit $1,000 really quick. So you're fucked. And being sober doesn't help. Anyway, like I said, I got more to bitch about, but I'll do that at a later time. Y'all take care. Wish I could have shown you that hawk and that squirrel. That was pretty cool.